The Splatoon 3 Splatfest World Premiere is right around the corner, and with all the information that was revealed in the recent Splatoon 3 Direct, my already high hype levels for the game have skyrocketed. However, as I was looking through the newly updated Splatoon website, I found a ton of information that Nintendo didn't talk about at all in the Direct, including some super interesting reveals that will be important to players both new and old. So I figured I'd make a video to go over these tidbits, plus some small, hard-to-notice details in the Direct, and a few other little things so that all you viewers can have the most useless Splatoon knowledge in your friend group. I'm Kit, and this is everything that wasn't revealed in the Splatoon 3 Direct. The first new thing mentioned in the recent post on the Splatoon website, a post featuring highlights from the Direct, is the fact that the Splatfest World Premiere demo will be available for download on Thursday, August 18th, a little more than a week prior to the Splatfest on Saturday the 27th. It also states that the Splatfest matches in the demo will be the new Tricolor Turf War matches, rather than the standard 4-on-4 Turf Wars. This is interesting, considering that the Direct explicitly stated that Tricolor Turf Wars normally only take up the last 24 hours of a Splatfest, with the team furthest ahead being put on the defensive during Tricolor matches. However, this Splatfest is only 12 hours long, as opposed to Splatoon 2's standard 48, running from 9 AM to 9 PM Pacific Time. Because there won't really be a winning team when the Splatfest begins, it'll be interesting to see which team is put in the middle of these turf wars. Maybe it'll be the most popular team, or maybe it'll just be randomly selected for each match. We'll just have to wait and see. This segment also mentions that certain parts of the demo will be available starting August 25th. What these certain parts are isn't exactly clear, though it's safe to assume this probably only means you'll be able to access the tutorial and character creation, choose your team for the Splatfest, and maybe scout some of the available stages and test out your weapons, so probably not anything super extensive. Moving on from info regarding the demo, the brief highlight about Salmon Run confirms that this mode can now be played at any time. This is a massive improvement over Splatoon 2, as that game had a strange cycle that made Salmon Run Online only playable during certain times. When the game first launched, this was about half of the week, though the schedule was quickly increased to become more common after the mode became more popular. The fact that they've done away with the rotation and made Salmon Run playable at all times is definitely for the best. In a paragraph detailing the new seasonal catalogs that players can use to unlock new gear, emotes, and trinkets for their lockers, they confirmed that the points used on those seasonal catalogs can be used to buy ability chunks as well. So, for those of you who are big on the competitive scene and looking to optimize your gear, there's another way to help get exactly the abilities you want. The last thing to touch on in this post is regarding Amiibo. In addition to the 3 new Amiibo announced in the Direct, the Squid Sisters and Off the Hook 2 packs will be getting restocked in North America sometime in the near future. This is good news, but also a little bit underwhelming, as some parts of Europe just got reprints of these 2 packs, as well as all of the other Splatoon 2 Amiibo, including the Inkling and Octoling 3 packs. It's unfortunate that North America won't be getting these reprints as well, but if you haven't had a chance to pick up any of these Amiibo, at least for a reasonable price, now's your chance. Moving on to the next post on the website, it offers a much more detailed overview of the Direct, including a ton of extra information. This segment confirms that in the lobby while waiting for matches to begin, not only will there be the standard training dummies, but there will also be a copy machine that sprays out enemy ink to help you practice defensive maneuvers. This isn't shown in the Direct, at least to my knowledge, so who knows how this will actually work in the game. Additionally, some items from the lobby's food vendor, Crab & Go, will be able to provide benefits to the whole team, unlike Splatoon 2, where they only benefited a single player. So now you might be able to give your entire team a cash or experience multiplier. The last thing mentioned regarding the lobby is that, in a future update to the game, players will be able to connect to lobbies via keywords, with the examples mentioned being #TurfWarSquids and #SplatZoneFans. It's unclear if these keywords can be made by just anyone and shared around, or if these will only work for events specifically hosted by Nintendo. Next up, in regards to the shops, this section states that Sheldon licenses, which are used to purchase weapons, can be earned by increasing a weapon's freshness level. For newcomers, a weapon's freshness level is increased by using it more frequently. As your freshness levels up, you'll also gain new ornaments to decorate your locker with. The next section is a big one, as this was not mentioned in the Direct whatsoever. Apparently, if you have save data for Splatoon 2 on your Switch console, you'll be able to transfer some of that data over to Splatoon 3, and gain a few extra bonuses by doing so. The first of these bonuses is 3 gold Sheldon licenses, each of which ignore the level requirements and allow you to purchase any weapon you want. So if you're looking to snag your old main right away, or have a particular new one you've been excited to try out, you'll be able to pick 3 for free from the get-go. Here's the big one though. Your ranked battle ranks from Splatoon 2 will transfer over into Splatoon 3, allowing you to completely skip over having to climb the ladder to regain your previous rank for each mode. You'll also be able to access ranked battles right away, rather than having to wait until level 10 like you did in previous games. Also unlike Splatoon 2, this game will be compatible with the Switch Online save data backup feature, allowing you to save progress such as purchased gear, story mode progress, and most other stuff not saved in the game's online servers. Your online ranks and battle data are still tied to your Nintendo account though, just like Splatoon 2. Now, here's something for those of you who are a bit more competition savvy. The abilities Main Power Up and Bomb Defense Up DX will not be returning from the last game, instead being replaced by 2 new abilities. The first one, which was announced in the Direct, is Intensify Action, which lets you keep more momentum when doing repeated squid rolls, as well as charge up the Squid Surge faster. The second ability, which was not revealed in the Direct, is Sub-Resistance Up. This serves as an effective replacement for Bomb Defense Up DX, reducing the damage from bombs and sprinklers, reducing the effects of mists, and lessening the time the player is marked by sub-weapons such as the ink mines. One more thing about abilities, just like in Splatoon 2, merch can scrub your gear for ability chunks, as well as use those chunks to give that ability to other gear. However, as was briefly shown in the Direct and mentioned on the website, merch can now swap out the main ability of each weapon, though that will apparently cost a lot of ability chunks. Gear star power can now go above 3 stars, and while you don't get any more ability slots for doing this, you will be able to gain abilities faster with that piece of gear. So this will definitely help expedite the process of grinding ability chunks. With the introduction of the seasonal catalog system for collecting gear, the Direct stated that points earned in battles can be redeemed for items from the catalog. The website also confirms that these points can be earned from Salmon Run shifts, as well as what it calls achievements, such as winning your first battle or Salmon Run shift of the day. My personal guess is that these achievements will be similar to the daily and seasonal challenges offered in other games with battle passes, such as Multiversus and Fortnite, but that remains to be seen for sure. In the next segment about the new splash tags, the post states that your nickname in Splatoon 3 will be separate from the nickname on your Nintendo account, unlike previous games in the series. Each player will also have a randomly generated ID number at the end of their nickname, allowing for multiple players to have the same nickname while having different ID numbers. Moving on to Anarchy Battles, this game's version of ranked battles, the Direct showed that these battles are split into 2 subcategories, Anarchy Battle Series and Anarchy Battle Open. Series is a best of 5 chain of ranked matches that will presumably grant you extra rank points based on how well you do. However, what the Direct didn't say is that to start a series, you'll have to pay an entry fee consisting of some of your rank points. So it seems like the series mode is more of a risk-reward scenario than the open Anarchy Battles. This part also states that medals are another way to gain rank points. We don't have any more info on what these medals might be, but I think they'll probably be similar to situational awards offered in other online multiplayer games. Most splats, most specials used, most points earned for your team, that sort of thing. Additionally, while this was briefly shown in the Direct, it wasn't fully mentioned, so I figured I'd bring it up here. Series and Open Anarchy Battles will have a different set of modes and stages each rotation, which means that now 2 different ranked battle modes will be available at a time rather than 1. So if you're not a fan of, say, Clan Blitz, you can just switch over to the other style of Anarchy Battles and play the other mode instead. Another thing about Anarchy Battles, geez, this section is long. In series battles, you might get a chance to participate in rank up battles, which, as the name implies, allow you to rank up from one letter rank to the next, seemingly regardless of your actual number of rank points. Finally, it seems that unlike the last 2 games, you won't be able to rank down when you lose matches. Instead, every player's rank will go down slightly every 3 months at the beginning of the new season. I have conflicted feelings about how this will affect the overall balance of the higher ranks, but I admit that it'll be nice not to have to worry about losing points when I lose a match. Moving on to Salmon Run, Next Wave, it seems that the Grizzco lobby will also have a testing range that allows you to practice with the daily weapons and other maneuvers. The maximum pay grade has also been increased from Professional to Executive VP, naturally giving you access to more dangerous job sites in exchange for higher pay. Teams that manage to complete an extra wave by defeating a king salmonid will be rewarded with one of 3 varieties of fish scales, with the type depending on the hazard level of the job. These can be exchanged for exclusive splash tag designs and items for lockers. Scales can also be exchanged for alternate Grizzco work outfits, letting you give yourself some more variety in your appearance for Salmon Run jobs. There's also a lot of Splatfest info that wasn't mentioned in the Direct, with one of the biggest bits being about the Splatfest sneak peek. After a Splatfest has been announced, but before it fully begins, you can earn conch shells for your team by participating in battles and Salmon Run shifts. The number of conch shells collected during the sneak peek will play a factor in the final results of each Splatfest, so be sure to keep playing in the build-up to each fest. The conch shells can be spent on the shell-out machine in the lobby, giving you another way to get items for your splash tags and locker. Just like in Splatoon 2, Splatfest battles in the first half will be separated into normal and pro matchmaking, each having a separate impact on the final outcome of the fest. Open battles will allow you to team up with friends in groups of 2 or 4 and battle together, while pro battles will pair you up with players of a similar Splatfest power determined in said pro battles. The 100 players with the highest Splatfest power on each team will be acknowledged as the Splatfest Top 100 at the end of each fest. Also, just like the last game's version 4 update, the randomly generated 10 times battles will be returning, allowing you to earn, well, 10 times as much clout for your team. However, Splatoon 3 has a new aspect in the festival shells, which you can earn by winning 10 times battles. 100 times battles are triggered when you and your teammates hold a lot of festival shells, and if both teams do, it will trigger the new 333 times battles. The amount of clout those battles will give you is self-explanatory. Thanks to the addition of the Tricolor Turf Wars and Splatfest sneak peeks, the way the final results of each fest are calculated is a bit different as well. Total votes, number of sneak peek conch shells per player, and pro battle clout will each be worth 10 points, while clout earned from the open Splatfest battles and the Tricolor Turf Wars will be rolled together and worth 15 points. And, as always, each player will be awarded a number of Super C Snails, which allow you to re-roll the abilities on a piece of gear based on your final rank in the Splatfest. That's all for the new info revealed on the website, so to wrap things up, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some minor details that were shown in the Direct footage, but not really highlighted, as well as some fun little tidbits about the game from other sources. The first new info has to do, once again, with Anarchy battles, this time specifically about the Rainmaker mode, my personal favorite. In Splatoon 3, the Rainmaker will have checkpoints throughout the course of the map, rather than just being a straight shot to the goal. I'm curious to see how this will affect matches, as so far it appears to be the only ranked mode with such a significant change. Will the Rainmaker only respawn at these checkpoints, rather than being dropped wherever the player carrying it was splatted? Or will it only return there if the player falls off the map and the Rainmaker is reset? We'll just have to wait and see. At the part where we get a chance to see the lobby terminal's menu, there's one option in particular that piqued my interest: Splatfest Region. Some regions had different themes for their Splatfests in previous games, such as Europe having the infamous toilet paper Splatfest as opposed to North America's Vampires vs. Werewolves for Halloween, and Japan having the exclusive lemon tea versus milk tea in Splatoon 1. In Splatoon on the Wii U, the region of Splatfest you participated in was determined by your console's region, and in Splatoon 2, it was determined by the set region of your Nintendo account. In Splatoon 3, however, it looks like you'll be able to choose your Splatfest region yourself, so if there's a foreign theme that you're particularly passionate about, you'll be able to change your setting and participate in that one instead. This next one is more for serious lore nerds, but it's just a fun detail regardless. Do you remember Harmony, the shopkeeper of the new item store Hotlantis? Well, it turns out she's actually a member of one of the bands featured in the music of Splatoon 1 and 2. She's the lead vocalist of the Chirpy Chips, or ABXY if you prefer the Japanese name. This band was responsible for the version 2 songs Shelfie and Split and Splat in the original Splatoon, as well as Splatoon 2 version 3's Blitzit and Wave Prism. While this isn't really a huge deal, it's extremely cool to see one of the background band members getting to be a fully realized NPC in the game. It really helps the world of Splatoon to feel more alive and breathing. This one also isn't really a fact, but just something I thought would be important to address. During the story mode segment of the Direct, the narrator says, "We hope you can witness the epic finale of the Splatastic saga." I've seen some people online fear-mongering, as usual, thinking this means that Splatoon 3 will be the last game in the series, which is frankly ridiculous. There's nothing about this line that implies Splatoon 3 will be the last game. It probably more so means that Return of the Mammalians will be the end of the current story about the Inklings and the Octarians that started in Splatoon on the Wii U. There's no reason to believe anything else at the moment. Some people seriously need to stop fear-mongering every chance they get. Moving on from the Direct, this was shown in the reveal trailer for Splatoon 3, but I don't really see a lot of people talking about it, so I figured I'd mention it here just in case you somehow missed it. Hairstyles for your character are no longer locked behind the style you choose, so you can have masculine hairstyles on a feminine base and vice versa. They are still locked to the species you choose for lore reasons, but considering you can choose to play as an Inkling or Octoling from the get-go, this really isn't a huge deal. These last two details were brought to my attention by a couple of people on Twitter, but I thought they were cool enough to include in this video. And, of course, they're both about the new idol group Deep Cut. Thanks to a post from @ComfyBasilisk, I was made aware that Shiver is either never or rarely referred to using gendered terms in all languages for the game. I'm not multilingual, unfortunately, so I can't really confirm it, but it appears to be true in the English version at least, so I have no reason to doubt this. So that not only makes Shiver likely the first non-binary Splatoon idol, but also one of Nintendo's first major non-binary characters. So naturally, I'm super glad they exist. Nintendo's been killing it with their queer representation over the last few years, what with Fire Emblem Three Houses having 6 canonically bisexual characters, as well as confirming in a Japanese character relations chart that Marina has romantic feelings for Pearl. And now we have Shiver to add a transgender and non-binary character to the mix. And for this very last fact, it's admittedly a bit of speculation, but I thought it was pretty fun to theorize about. @CassetteBat, these two just have the coolest Twitter handles, pointed out some aspects of Fry's design that point to her potentially being inspired by a vampire squid, though more so their vampire namesake than the actual squid itself. Considering the fact that her ears are much more pointed and her fangs are much more predominant than they are for most Inklings, I'd say that this is a pretty safe bet to say she was inspired by vampire squids. It's just really cool to see where some of the Splatoon developers get their inspiration for character designs from. With that said, I think it's about time to finally wrap this video up. Thank you all so much for sticking around to the end, and if you find anything I failed to mention in this video, please leave it down in the comments. Hopefully I'll be around with the motivation to make more content when Splatoon 3 releases, but I'm heading back to university literally the day after it launches, so we'll have to wait and see if that actually pans out or not. Have a great day everyone, and don't forget to stay fresh.